Denis, what role did the original Blade Runner play in your life?
No, seriously, it's a movie that I discovered at a very precise moment when I was starting to dream about the possibility of being a director, discovering what was the job of a director, and I think it's like, for me, it's like a very strong example of a strong director's vision, and it's like a movie that aesthetically also blew my mind. At the time, I was really hungry for strong, serious science fiction, you know, and there's not a lot of very strong sci-fi movies, and that one was really aesthetically blew my mind, and it's a masterwork. I mean, yeah.
Harrison, when you were sent the script, what was your reaction to the idea of returning to this character?
I was delighted to be involved once I had a chance to read the script and see what the opportunities were for taking advantage of the audience's knowledge of Deckard that came from the first film, and progressing the character and bringing that character into relationships that I thought were powerfully emotional, and so it seemed like a great opportunity. At the first time I was involved, Ridley was meant to direct it, and then when Denis became involved, we met and talked about it, and I was really excited about it.
Roger, I understand you and Denis had a really kind of intense session creating the storyboards for this film basically in a hotel room in Canada. Can you talk a little bit about what your early ideas were?
Well, it started then, and it's a much longer process. It wasn't like one intense session. It started in like September 2015 and went on to the last day of prep before shooting. So it was quite a long old process. I mean, we started off just basically going through the script and thinking, well, how are we going to visualize this, you know? And Denis was on board, and, you know, we just gradually kind of worked it through. We all found different references of different things and discussed different ideas about the look and the architecture and the atmosphere, and, you know, it's just, you know, spitballing, and they call it over here.
Denis, California in 2049 looks like a horrible place to live. How did you make it that way?
When I first met Denis, I asked him a fairly simple question. I said, can you give me one word that describes the movie? And he paused and he said, brutality. And I said, okay, great. That's a good start. So we took that word and we basically started with the spinner, because that was going to be the language that was going to reflect on a lot of what the movie looked like, and obviously respecting the original film. And we arrived at something that I thought was very compatible, but it was certainly singular to ourselves as well too.
So Ryan, you were right at home in this brutal landscape. What was it like to work among these sets?
Yeah, well, I said to Denis, I asked him to describe in one word what it would be like, and he said, there's snow. And I said, I'm in.
Oh, yeah, yes.
That I can do. Look, the sets were really, the level to which they had committed to this vision, you know, to walk, you know, onto these sets and you know, I remember one day it was a third of a page. It was like my character walks up to a desk, and I assumed I would just go to work and walk up to a desk, but they had turned an entire soundstage into one desk. It was so massive, and after Roger had lit it, and it was beautiful, but I was confused. You know, I said to Denis, "Isn't this scene just, you know, like 3/4 of a page, you know? And he said, but it's in the movie, isn't it? And I said, yes. Well, then it has to operate under the same rules as everything else. So, it was a real experience to work on that scale with this level of craftsmanship and artistry, and to really physically inhabit this, what felt like a functioning universe in a lot of ways.
Harrison, what was it like to shoot that fight scene in among the Elvis and lights?
It was complicated. I mean, what I hadn't reckoned on was that the lights would make it hard to see where Ryan was. And he dances forward a lot better than he dances backwards. So I hit him pretty hard one time. It was complicated. Complicated to fit in between them, and also to get a sense of the hologram. Although we had a live Elvis impersonator, for our amusement, but it was fun. It was fun.
Ryan, was it fun for you?
Yes.
Broderick, this is a very big movie for your company, Alcon, to make. Why did you guys decide to bet on such a big and such an ambitious film?
Well, I think it was a combination of things. One, we never would have really jumped off this bridge unless we had come up with what we thought was a very compelling story to tell, and a movie that could stand on its own, yet still live up to the quality of the first film, which we felt like the brand of Blade Runner is quality, and it set so many standards in artistry and all the rest of it, that in order to actually do it, we were like, we have to strive to be, the best that we can be. So once we had the rights, we went and saw Ridley, and he was very enthusiastic to jump on board. He certainly had been waiting for many years to try to untangle the rights. And so he and Hampton then got together and came up with the basic core of the story. And Michael Green came on and wrote a screenplay. And, Ridley had been speaking to Harrison periodically, and then he read the script and was on board. So, once the train starts going, it's very exciting, it's very exhilarating. And then Ridley couldn't, at the time that we wanted to start, he couldn't start. And so we all agreed to try to get another director, and we got Denis. We had worked with Denis and Roger on Prisoners, and, loved that experience. It's one of our favorite experiences. And, once we got the core together here, it's been one of the best experiences we've ever had on a movie. It was everyone's passion and, devotion. Even the Elvis guy was, he was all in. So everyone really cared about what we were doing, and it's and for us, we felt like the art was going to be the commerce. So it just needed to be a great movie.
You can't tell what's CG and what's in camera. What was your strategy in terms of the visual effects?
Well, the first thing that we all decided right at the start is that we will construct as much set as possible. So the actors will be inspired by the set, and they will have to focus on their character and not on into the environment. Also for, I will say, if I may, Roger, for you and I, it was like a way to, we storyboard everything, but we love also when an actor bring an idea or there's something that sparks and on the morning to readjust ourselves. And very often there are strong images that are coming spontaneously on set. And I didn't want, when you are in a virtual environment surrounded by green screens, you don't have that spontaneity, you don't have that relationship with acting and the camera. And so it was important for me to have, and I'm very grateful that the production decided to support that idea, to construct all the sets. Also, it was a way to control the atmospheres, because we were constructing the sets, like an apartment, as an example. If there's a window, we will build the other street on the other side, and then the rain in between would be real, so Roger will be able to control the light in between. And this way, it means that there's tons of CGI in the movie, but it's always to ends. In the background, there are little elements that are... I think that the fact that it looks that real is, there's two things for me. First of all the artists, CG artists that work on this movie, most of them, they're buyable the way they were brought to the cinema. That's passion for one of their favorite movie of all time is Blade Runner. For some of them, their level of commitment was so huge. And the other thing about CG is that at the end of the day, is light. It's about light. And the way you lit with the computer in the background, it's like, so it's all Roger mastery, you know, the way he blended the VFX with that's, I would say.
Thank you so much, gentlemen.